The controversy over the use of a manual register is now spiraling into a full-scale political battle with only 39 days, 38 now, before the August general election. Azimio One Kenya coalition is now expressing fears a change of heart by Kenya Kwanza over the register is suspicious in light of the challenge. Muriithi spoke to Azimio's presidential chief legal advisor, Paul Mwangi, and now reports on the brewing row.
The question of what register will be used at the polling stations to identify voters is fast becoming the main point of contention between the two leading political contenders, with 39 days to the ballot. No registers as a backup at polling stations. Ruto, who met a delegation of observers led by former Nigerian President Goodluck Eliona, voiced concerns once again on the question of manual registers at polling stations.
Our position is that we have come a long way in matters technology, that we believe that an electronic register will work. It's not easy to manipulate. It is not subject to games. And we think there are sufficient safeguards around it.
But now, Raila Odinga's chief legal advisor, Paul Mwangi, is raising fears of possibilities of manipulating the technology to favor one side, citing recent developments at the IEBC.
Just a few weeks ago, IEBC came and said that somebody had been able to access the voter register, the principal voter register, internally at the database, and being able to make changes and transfer 1 million people to different stations. Now, if they can't have that kind of sabotage, then you cannot rule out that even if you're talking about these tablets and about these SD cards, that it is still conceivable that somebody can actually sabotage this system.
At the heart of the controversy is the issue of what data will be fed into the electronic register that will be fed into the voter identification kits. At a meeting with presidential candidates Wednesday, the Kenya Kwanza team downplayed the need for a manual register.
From my end, I would be more interested in knowing what is loaded in the KIMS kit. What register is loaded in the KIMS kit? Because even if you printed that register and what is in the KIMS kit is what is in the physical register, nobody then needs to worry. The good thing about the KIMS kit, it has digital footprints.
How do you tell that the SD card that was loaded in some warehouse today is going to be the one that will come up on election day? SD cards are sold everywhere. So it is also conceivable that the SD card that ends up in the KIMS kit could be an SD card that is made elsewhere and that has added voters, which is very different than when you have a voter register that was printed by the person who printed the ballots.
The Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission, just like DP Ruto, says a manual register will open doors for rigging at polling stations.
Around 3-4-ish like that. And especially in remote areas where there are no observers or maybe where there are also strongholds, it's possible for them to allow the people to vote when they're actually not there in the first place.
We will only have to be much more vigilant to make sure that the manual register is not abused. To stuff ballot boxes and those kind of things.
We are also afraid when we hear some people in IEBC also following up on the same talk, because then you start feeling that some people inside IEBC and in UDA are speaking the same language.
One of the safeguards that the Azimio One Kenya coalition is banking on is the fact that the manual register cannot be manipulated and will act perfectly as a complementary method for the technology, insisting that if anybody wants to tamper with the technology, then they will have the manual register as a backup plan. Kennedy Muriithi, NTV in Nairobi County.